Yes. What's good, everybody? Nick Dais back here at The Lamb Show on all social media outlets with your New York Knicks report. Before we get into the New York Knicks report and the top 8 players going into 2019-20 for the New York Knicks, make sure you have subscribed to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/chatsportstv. With that being said, here is a graphic of the 8 projected best players going into 2019 for the New York Knicks. Starting us off is Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Knox, Elfrid Payton, RJ Barrett, Marcus Morris, Dennis Smith Jr., and Bobby Portis. I am now going to give you guys projected stat lines for all 8 of these New York Knicks players. Starting us off with the big free agent get from the New Orleans Pelicans, the 24-year-old Julius Randle, who has seen his point total, folks, in every single season since entering the NBA go up and up and up. 21.4 points per game, 8.7 rebounds per game, and 3.1 assists per game, while shooting 52% from the field with the New Orleans Pelicans. Now also having a emergence as a three-point shooter last year as well. Look, I think this season, with Julius Randle being the focal point for this offense, being the best offensive player on this team at the time being. Now, we're not talking about years down the line what RJ Barrett or Kevin Knox might become. We're not talking ceiling. We're talking what we know right now. And I think with the Knicks paying this guy some big money to come over here in the offseason, Julius Randle is going to be the focal point of this team. And I'm looking at a projected stat line of 24, 8, and 3, folks. And if Julius Randle averages 24, 8, and 3 in a New York Knicks jersey, you know what's going to happen? In February, All-Star Game weekend, he's going to be playing for the Eastern Conference as an All-Star because the Garden Faithful is going to get him in. If Julius Randle, question for all you guys watching right now in the comments below, if Julius Randle does average 24, 8, and 3, is he going to be an NBA All-Star this year? We'll have to wait and see, but I do know the Knicks are starving to be good. The Knicks fans are dying to be good in basketball, so they'll do whatever it takes to get their guy, if he's averaging 24, 8, and 3 in 2019, to the NBA All-Star game. Next up, Mitchell Robinson, who all the Knicks fans that I know, a lot of my close friends, rave about this guy. He is a can't trade prospect. They wouldn't even give him up for Anthony Davis. He is a rim runner and a blocking wizard. He's never scored more than 20 points per game in his career. He's never had a 20-point game in his career. But the Knicks last season had one of the worst assist ratios in the entire NBA. They were dead last in assists, 20 assists per game last season. Absolute bottom of the totem pole in the NBA. They do add Elfrid Payton, which I think is going to help that total get up closer to the mid-tier as opposed to being dead last. Last year, in 20 minutes per game, 7 points, 6 rebounds, and 2.4 blocks per game for Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson did not play much last year, and it wasn't because he wasn't good and he wasn't ready. It's just that the Knicks wanted to tank. So what they did was they were playing guys like DeAndre Jordan, who has really fallen off a cliff from when his time was in LA with Lob City. I think this year, if Mitchell Robinson can play about 33 to 35 minutes per game, I'm looking at Rudy Gobert kind of numbers, folks. I think his impact is that dramatic to this team defensively. 12, 10, and 3 blocks per game for Mitchell Robinson. All his analytics and the sabermetrics of all these like NBA nerds say that his numbers over a per 36 are comparable to Rudy Gobert. So if that can happen, you're looking at an absolute home run of a second-round pick a couple years ago. Next up, Kevin Knox, the former number 1 first-round pick for the New York Knicks. 16.8 points per game, 40% from the field, 38% from 3 from Summer League. Now, I do think Kevin Knox is going to start the season on the bench, maybe as the 6th, 7th man role coming off the bench. I think he's going to be on the bench behind Marcus Morris. Last year, 35 minutes per game. Every time Kevin Knox surpassed that, he averaged close to 18 points per game and averaged 5.5 rebounds per game. This year, I think depending on what his role is going to be with this team, are they going to just feed these young guys big minutes, have them mature, and have them go through the growing pains? Or are they going to ease them in and learn from some of these grizzled vets, like the Taj Gibsons, like the Marcus Morrises of the world? I do think this year, I'm looking at a stat line of 15, 4, and 2 assists for Kevin Knox with about a steal a game. I would like to see him be a little more active defensively. He is very long. His limbs are super, super long, and he can cover up a lot of passing lanes. So I would like to see him get a couple more steals per game. This next one is one of my favorite additions as I did more and more research on Elfrid Payton. I think it's the biggest upgrade any team has had this offseason at the point guard position. He is a point guard who is pass first, career averages of 11, 4, and 6, and I think he's going to inflate some of the numbers of the players around him if they can surround him with some shooters. His career averages, I think he's going to surpass them this year. If he projects out the 32 to 36 minutes, I'm looking at 13, 8, and 5. That is 8 assists for one Elfrid Payton, and I think he is a massive upgrade from what the Knicks had dead last in the NBA in total assists. I think this year with Elfrid Payton, that should help them regress back to the mean. RJ Barrett next up. Now with RJ Barrett, I want you guys to chime in here with the comments below, because I have 2 case studies with RJ Barrett. Case number 1 and case number 2. Case number 1, guys. Is he going to go for Rookie of the Year? Are the New York Knicks and that entire organization from the top down to Fizdale going to say, RJ, you were the number 3 pick in the 2019 draft. Everyone's talking about Zion, but we want you to be the best player in this draft. So what does that mean? We let you run wild. You let him lead the team in shots. You bear with him with the growing pains. You let him run wild, shoot wild, force feed him the ball. You don't need to be on a winning team to win NBA Rookie of the Year. It's like not many other awards out there where team success doesn't really carry much weight to you winning an accolade of Rookie of the Year. So he averaged 22 points per game with Zion Williamson as the main attraction over at Duke. If they run him to the ground, play him 38, 40 minutes per game, I think it's realistic that RJ Barrett could average 28 and 5 and be stellar defensively. That would be in line for him being a Rookie of the Year candidate, probably the Rookie of the Year. That's case study number 1. Case study number 2, folks. The growing pains. Limit his exposure. Don't run him to the ground. Don't do what Thibodeau was doing in Minnesota with Karl-Anthony Towns and Wiggins when there were 20 games out of the 8th seed. He's playing them 47 minutes a night. Hell, on DraftKings and FanDuel, there were tremendous daily fantasy plays, but you don't want that where your young guys running them into the ground on a meaningless March Wednesday night against the Wizards. You don't want to do that. So do they limit his exposure? Do they limit his minutes? Do you have him learn from some of these grizzled vets on the team that you signed on these 1-2 year deals what it's like to be an NBA pro? If that's the case, I think a more realistic stat line for RJ Barrett is 12, 6, and 5. I do think his assists stay the same because he showed flashes in Summer League of being a playmaker. After those first 2 games, I was super devastated with RJ Barrett. I was ready to sell all my stock and get off of RJ Island. I loved what I saw later on when he matured as an NBA player. So I do think 12, 6, and 5 assists with 1 steal per game. Question to you guys watching below. In the comments, type 1 for case study 1, him going for Rookie of the Year, or type the number 2 for case study 2, where they're going to just ease him in little by little. Which outcome you think is more realistic for RJ Barrett going into his rookie season? Next up, I gotta say, shout out to everyone that was letting me have it last week, leaving off Marcus Morris off the potential starting lineups going into next season. I did not know Marcus Morris was such a fan favorite amongst you guys. Hell, I like Marcus Morris too, but I do think his role with this team is yet to be determined. Is he gonna play the leadership role, or do they want him in the starting lineup, swallow some of these big minutes out on the field? With that being said, 27 minutes per game is what he was playing with the Celtics, 14, 6, and 1. But you gotta remember, there were a lot of really talented forwards or guys that were making a lot of money on that team with the Celtics last year that they wanted to get exposure to all those guys. So 14, 6, and 1 for Marcus Morris. I think he was brought in more for like the bully mentality and his intensity. He is a guy, according to basketball metrics, that is a little bit overrated when it comes to his defensive prowess. But I think this year he's going to play the mentor role towards RJ Barrett. And he has made deep playoff runs in the past, in particular with the Boston Celtics. So I think this year I'm looking at 12, 7, and 2 assists per game with 1 steal per game, and maybe half a block. Let's see. If you want to shut me up and not have me call you overrated defensively and prove some of these analytic nerds wrong that you are a good defender, Get some blocks on there too, my man. Show me what's up. A guy who really wants to improve his game is Dennis Smith Jr. So much so that he went and saw a shot doctor, according to many, many articles out of the New York Post and the Daily News. 15 points per game is what Dennis Smith Jr. averaged without Luka Doncic. Luka was the top 5 pick with the Mavericks last season, and when Luka came into the fold, 13 points per game was what Dennis Smith Jr. was averaging, and the two couldn't coexist, right? Both guys wanted to dominate the ball. Both guys had high usage rates, and the Mavericks made the better decision because, let's be honest, Luka Doncic is a top 25 player in the league already, in my opinion, and they got rid of Dennis Smith Jr. Now, if he does win the point guard job, because I think there's going to be an interesting conversation to be had, the battle of who's going to be playing the one for the New York Knicks. Is it going to be Elfrid Payton or is it going to be Dennis Smith Jr.? I would prefer it being Elfrid Payton because of how he can distribute and how it could be a floor general, where I think Dennis Smith Jr. is better suited in his career being a sixth man off the bench, sort of like the other Smith that used to play in New York, J.R. Smith. Ideally, that would be his role. I'm projecting him, regardless of what his role is, 15, 5, and 3 for Dennis Smith Jr. Last but not least is Bobby Portis. Now, we're not going to make any jokes about him punching a teammate in the face. We've done that for 2 straight videos. But he did come out and say that the Knicks can make the playoffs. Question to you guys watching this video. Can the Knicks make the playoffs? I don't know. Off the top of my head, here's a list of 10 teams that I think are better than the Knicks. The Pacers, the Bucks, the 76ers, the Celtics, the Nets, the Heat, the Pistons, the Raptors even. I don't know if that is 10, but 8 teams make the playoffs, and I don't think the Knicks are one of the 8 best teams in the Eastern Conference at the time being. Even the Magic made the playoffs last year, so that's a team that you still, hypothetically speaking, have to climb over, and I don't know if the Knicks are ready for that. Career year from three-point with the Bulls and the Wizards last season, 14 and 8 is what he averaged. If he plays 36 minutes per game, maybe his usage rate goes a little bit higher. I do think that a guy like Randle and Bobby Portis might be the stretch bigs that the Knicks have been looking for. I'm going to go with 16, 9, and 3, and maybe half a block per game for Bobby Portis. If you guys like the video, give a thumbs up in the column below. Make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, Chat Sports TV, and I'll catch you guys next time on the Knicks Report.